Welcome to this channel. I'm Ancestry, the guardian of ancestral history, and my mission is to explore and share the stories of those who came before us. In this video, we will explore the surprising genealogy of Kamala Harris, the first female vice president of the United States of America. Information about her ancestors was gathered from the websites Family Search and MyHeritage, where the Harris family tree is published. Since there are no portraits of many of the people mentioned, most of the images presented in the video were generated by artificial intelligence. Let's watch the video. To talk about Kamala Harris' ancestry, let's go back to England in 1622, when the oldest ancestor found in her family tree recorded on Family Search and MyHeritage was born. In 1622, Melksham, Wiltshire, England, was a small rural village in an agricultural region, and life there reflected the quiet, pastoral pace of pre-industrial revolution England. The economy was based primarily on agriculture, with the cultivation of cereals and, in particular, the raising of sheep for the production of wool, which was one of the country's main exports. The production of woolen cloth was a key industry in the Wiltshire region, and Melksham likely participated in this trade. In the early 17th century, England was under the reign of James I, the first monarch of the Stuart dynasty, which had ruled since 1603. He was also King of Scotland, James VI, and was trying to consolidate his rule over both kingdoms. James I maintained a relatively stable monarchy, although there were religious and political tensions, such as the Puritan issue, which sought more radical reforms of the Church of England, and rivalry between Catholics and Protestants. For the people of Melksham in 1622, life was marked by a strong connection to the local church. The Church of England was the central institution in community life, and most residents attended the parish church for worship and religious activities. Families lived on small farms and in villages, and life was organized around the seasonal cycles of planting and harvesting. Residents faced the uncertainties of farming, such as pests, bad weather or poor harvests, which could profoundly affect their livelihoods. It was in this historical context that John Parsons was born, on February 15, 1622, in Melksham, Wiltshire, England, United Kingdom. He grew up in this historic English town, likely spending his early years immersed in the rural lifestyle typical of the 17th century. As an adult, he married Elizabeth Lloyd, forming a family and continuing his life in England. His marriage to Elizabeth was a significant part of his personal journey. After living a full life, John Parson passed away on October 27, 1685. His life spanned 63 years, witnessing a period of great change and development in England. Stephen Parson was born on 5 June 1663 in Melksham, Wiltshire, England, to John Parson and Elizabeth Lloyd. Growing up in his parents' hometown, Stephen was raised in a rural environment that reflected the traditional farming life of 17th century England. Melksham at the time was a close-knit community where farming and crafts shaped the local economy, and families like the Parsons played a vital role in sustaining it. Born during the final years of the Restoration period, Stephen's childhood unfolded in an England that was stabilizing after the political turmoil of the English Civil War and the rule of Oliver Cromwell. The monarchy had been restored with King Charles II on the throne, and while much of England, particularly the urban centres, was undergoing change, life in rural Wiltshire remained largely focused on farming, local governance and the Anglican faith. He married Anne Richards. Living in this village and probably working in agriculture or wool production, they had 8 children: Daniel, Lydia, Elizabeth, John, Mary, Martha, Jane and Stephen Parson Jr. Stephen Parsons died on September 12, 1731. Stephen Parsons Jr. was born on 10 June 1695, in Trowbridge, Melksham, Wiltshire, England. The population of Trowbridge at this time was relatively small, but it was growing as the textile industry expanded. The houses were made of stone and timber, many of them housing weaving workshops, with production often carried out in the home by entire families. There was a strong tradition of community work, and weaving was the main source of income for many. Socially, life in Trowbridge was centered on the local church and seasonal markets. Although the town was still predominantly agricultural, The first signs of a more industrialized future were already emerging. The town's wealth began to increase from the woolen cloth trade, and local merchants were becoming influential figures. Stephen Parsons Jr. married Charity Angel, born in Trownbridge, on April 23, 1703. They were the parents of Mary Parsons, Charity, Hannah, Betty, Sarah, Jane, Charity II, Martha and Stephen Parsons. Mary Parsons was born around 1722, in Downton, Hants, England. At that time Ampshire was a quiet rural village, centered mainly on farming and local trade. The economy was largely based on agricultural production, with grain growing and livestock rearing, benefiting from its location on the banks of the River Avon. St. Lawrence's Church was the religious and social heart of the community, reflecting a strong connection with the Anglican tradition. Life was marked by agricultural routines and seasonal markets, with little influence from the industrialization that was yet to come. Mary Parsons married Robert Harris, who was born in 1713, also in Downton, Wiltshire, England. Robert Harris and Mary Parsons were the parentes of Robert, John, William, Abraham, Elizabeth and Richard Harris. Richard Harris was born in 1763 in Downton, Wiltshire, England. He married Mary Huffam Royce, born in Jamaica about 1771. Richard and Mary were the parents of Thomas Harris, born in St. Ann, Jamaica. With his second wife, Marjorie McQuinney, Richard Harris had 3 more children, John, Joseph and Elizabeth, all born in Jamaica. Thomas Harris was born in 1794 in St. Ann Parish, Jamaica, and worked as a carpenter throughout his life. At a time when Jamaica was under British rule, Thomas developed his craftsmanship in a colony where craftsmanship was valued, especially in areas such as construction and repair, which were essential to daily life in the local communities. He married Catherine Jane Harris, née Watson, who came from Perthshire, Scotland, where she was born around 1792. They lived and shared their lives together in St. Ann, where Thomas continued to work as a carpenter until his death on February 12, 1883. The couple's story reflects the connections between the Caribbean and Scotland that were common at the time, with many British families settling in the colonies. Thomas and Catherine were the parents of 7 children: Elizabeth, Joseph, Edward, Thomas, Richard, Robert and James Henry Harris. James Henry Harris was born in 1825 in Jamaica, into a family of diverse heritage. He was a skilled carpenter of English descent, and the son of a Scottish-born mother who brought with her a blend of Scottish culture and values. James grew up at a time when Jamaica was transitioning from the final stages of British colonialism and the abolition of slavery, which occurred in 1834 when he was still a child. This historical backdrop undoubtedly influenced his formative years, as the island was evolving socially and economically. James married Elizabeth Brown in St. Ann, Jamaica. Their union was blessed with a large family, whose lives were shaped by the rhythms of local agricultural and commercial practices that dominated the economy in St. Ann. Raising such a large family during this period was a significant responsibility. Many of the couple's children would contribute to the development of Jamaica for generations to come. These were the children of James and Elizabeth, Elizabeth Ann Harris, David Watson Harris, Thomas Baker Harris, Solomon Samuel Harris, Anne Drusilla Harris, James Pullo Harris, Adelaide Harris, Joseph Alexander Harris, Jeremiah Harris, Nancy Rebecca Harris, and Marie Louise Harris. Joseph Alexander Harris, born in Orange Hill, Street, James, Jamaica. He was a landowner and exporter of agricultural produce, primarily pepper or allspice. Joseph's story reflects the life of a successful merchant amidst the social and economic dynamics of Jamaica in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He married Christiana Brown, born in 1885 in Brownstown, St. Ann, Jamaica. She was the daughter of Mary Ann Brown, a descendant of Africans who were brought to Jamaica and enslaved. Unfortunately, the names of her African ancestors are unknown. According to Christiana, her father was Hamilton Brown, who is recorded as a plantation and slave owner and founder of Brownstown. Miss Chrissy, as Christiana was called, owned and operated the popular dry goods store on the busy main street leading away from the famous market in the center of Brownstown. Joseph Alexander Harris and Christiana Brown built a family that reflected Jamaica's diversity, and were the parents of 8 children: Leslie George Harris, Hildred May Harris, Reginald Victor Harris, Vera Eileen Harris, Mabel Ann Harris, Oscar Joseph Harris, Newton Alexander Harris, and Ina Doreen Harris. Oscar Joseph Harris was born in 1914 in Orange Hill, Brownstown, Jamaica, at a time of great transformation in Jamaica and the world. The son of Joseph Alexander Harris and Christiana Brown, Oscar grew up in a large family in a community that was a blend of African and European cultural heritages, reflecting Jamaica's complex history. Oscar was part of a generation that watched their country slowly emerge from the colonial era in a quest for national identity and self-sufficiency. He inherited the resilience and entrepreneurial spirit of his parents, and their agricultural and export businesses. Oscar Joseph Harris had 3 wives: Pearline Curry, Beryl Magdalene Finnegan, and Viorys Anita Cambridge. But let's talk about Beryl Magdalene Finnegan. Her father, Patrick Alhanasis Finnegan, was the son of Irish immigrants, reflecting the strong presence of European origin communities that arrived in Jamaica during the colonial period. Beryl's mother, Miss Iris Finnegan, a descendant of enslaved Africans, was a gentle but strong-willed farmer and educator who ran the sugar plantation at Thatch Walk, near Anon Town, jointly owned by her husband, Mr. Christie. Miss Iris's African ancestry, though deeply significant, remains shrouded in mystery, as the names of her African ancestors are unknown. All enslaved Africans had their pasts erased. Their names were changed, and their personal documents listed the names of their owners rather than their parents or grandparents. Because their ancestors were erased from history, it is impossible to know who they were or where they lived in Africa. Oscar Joseph Harris had 2 children, a daughter named Enid Maud Harris, from his marriage to Pearline Curry, and a son named Donald Jasper Harris, from his marriage to Beryl Magdalene Finnegan. Donald Jasper Harris was born on August 23, 1938, in parish of St. Andrew, Jamaica. He is a prominent Jamaican-American economist. He immigrated to the United States to study at the University of California, Berkeley, where he completed his Ph.D. in economics. His academic career is notable, with him becoming Professor Emeritus of Economics at Stanford University, where he worked for decades, contributing extensively to economic theory, especially on issues related to development and inequality. In addition to his academic achievements, Harris is also known for his social activism and civil rights convictions. Married to Shimala Gopalan, a biomedical scientist of Indian origin, Donald Harris had 2 daughters, Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States, and Maya Harris, a lawyer and activist. We've just had exploring Kamala Harris's paternal ancestry, and now we'll talk about her maternal ancestry. To do this, we'll head to India. Venkataraman Iyer Gopalan and Panganadu Venkataraman Iyer were Brahmins, who were often priests, teachers, and scholars. They are the parents of Panganadu Venkataraman Gopalan, who was born in 1911 in Manargudi, Tamil Nadu, India. Panganadu was a prominent Indian diplomat and civil servant. Born in British India he had a career dedicated to public service, earning recognition for his expertise and commitment to social welfare and women's rights. Gopalan served in the Indian government after independence, working as a diplomat and policy expert on development assistance. He had a distinguished career, serving in several African countries as the Indian government's representative on humanitarian missions. He was married to Rajam Balachandran Gopalan and they were the parents of Shimala Gopalan. Shimala Gopalan was born on December 7, 1938 in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. She inherited her father's sense of solidarity and commitment to social welfare. She immigrated to the United States in 1958 to study at the University of California, Berkeley, where she earned her doctorate in endocrinology. Her research focused on breast cancer, and her contributions to this field were widely recognized, especially for her groundbreaking work on the biology of hormones and their impact on the development of cancer. In addition to being a highly respected scientist, Shimala was also a civil rights activist. deeply involved in the social movements of the 1960s in the United States. She was married to Donald Jasper Harris, a Jamaican-American economist and professor emeritus of economics at Stanford University. Her activism influenced the political formation of her daughters, Kamala and Maya Harris, encouraging them to fight for social justice and equality. Shyamala Gopalan passed away on February 11, 2009, in Oakland, California, United States. Kamala Devi Harris was born on October 20, 1964, in Oakland, California. Her parents, Shyamala Gopalan, an Indian-born cancer researcher, and Donald Jasper Harris, an economist from Jamaica, were immigrants to the United States. As we can see, Kamala Harris is of English, Irish, Scottish, African, Jamaican, and Indian descent. Harris's mixed heritage plays a significant role in her identity and political career, often seen as a reflection of America's diverse society. Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States, having assumed office on January 20, 2021. She made history as the first woman, the first black woman, and the first person of South Asian descent to hold the office of Vice President. Prior to becoming Vice President, Harris served as a U.S. Senator from California from 2017 to 2021 and as California's Attorney General from 2011 to 2017. Harris attended Howard University, a historically black university, and later earned her law degree from the University of California, Hastings College of the Law. Her legal career began as a prosecutor, and she later became known for her tough-on-crime policies as the San Francisco District Attorney before assuming the role of California's Attorney General. As Vice President, Harris focused on a wide range of issues, including immigration, voting rights, and women's rights, and has played a critical role in shaping the Biden administration's policy agenda. Her groundbreaking career continues to inspire many, especially women and people of color, both in the U.S. and globally. Harris is married to American entertainment lawyer and law professor Douglas Emhoff, who is of Jewish descent. Kamala Harris is the Democratic Party's candidate for President of the United States in the 2024 elections. If she wins, she will be the first female President of the United States of America. As we come to the end of our journey exploring Kamala Harris' fascinating ancestry, we see how her lineage reflects the rich tapestry of global migration and diversity. From her European, African, and Jamaican roots on her father's side, to her deep Indian cultural heritage on her mother's side, Kamala Harris embodies a mix of stories, struggles, and triumphs, a testament to the power of ancestry and how the legacies of our ancestors shape who we are today. Thank you for joining us on this exploration, and we hope you found inspiration in the story of this remarkable woman. Now we want to hear from you. Which other famous Americans would you like to discover the ancestry of here on our channel? Leave your suggestions in the comments. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share it with your friends, and hit the bell icon to receive notifications about our upcoming videos. We truly appreciate your support and for being part of our community. I'm Ancestry. I look forward to seeing you in our next video, where we'll continue to explore fascinating genealogies. Until then, take care and happy exploring. Goodbye.